Chapter 3 of Andiron Tales by John Bangs. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Off in the Clouds. "Now the point to be decided," said the left Andiron, after he and his companions had been flying through space for some time, "is where we are going. There are 2 or 3 things we can do, and Tom can have his choice as to which it shall be." "Subject, of course, to my advice," said the right Andiron, with a bow to Tom. "You can go where you please, if I please, see?" "Yes," said Tom, "I see. I can have my way as long as it is your way." "Precisely," said the right Andiron, with an approving nod. "And as you may have heard, precisely means exactly so. You can have your way as long as it is my way, which shows how generous I am. Fond of my way as I am willing to divide it with you." "All right," returned Tom. "I'm very much obliged. What are the 2 things we can do?" "Well," said the left Andiron, scratching his head softly, "we can fly up a little higher and sit down and watch the world go round. We can take the long jump, or we can visit Saturn." "What was the first?" asked Tom. "To fly up a little higher, where we can get a better view, to sit down there and watch the world go round. It is an excellent way to travel. It's awfully easy. In fact, it isn't you that travels at all. It's the world that does the traveling, while all you've got to do is to sit down there and keep an eye on it. It's like a big panorama, only it's real. And any time you see a place going by that you think you'd like to see more of, all you've got to do is to fly down there and see it." "When you get up higher and sit down," said Tom, "what do you sit on?" "You sit on me, and I sit on my hind legs, of course," said left Andiron. "Don't you know anything?" "Of course I do," said Tom indignantly. "I know lots of things." "Then I can't see why you ask such silly questions," retorted the left Andiron. "What do we sit on? Why, you might just as well ask a dog what he barks with, or a lion what he eats his breakfast with, and that would be as stupid as the Poker's poem on sandwiches." "Did the Poker write a poem on sandwiches?" asked Tom. 8 of 'em, returned the left Andiron. "The first of them went this way. He sat upon a lofty hill and smoked his penny pipe. 'Ha!' quoth the passing whip-poor-will, 'the oranges are ripe.' The other 7 went like this," observed the right Andiron. "The day was over, and the 16 little darkies then found they were in a dreadful fix, like several other men." "There isn't anything about sandwiches in those poems," said Tom, with a look of perplexity on his face. "No, that's where the stupidity of it comes in. He wrote those poems and called 'em all sandwiches just to be stupid, and it was stupid." "But what did he want to be stupid for?" asked Tom. "Just his vanity, that's all," said the right Andiron. "The Poker is a very vain person. He thinks he is superior to everybody else in everything. If you say to him, 'The gas fixture is bright tonight,' he'll say, 'Oh, yes, but I'm brighter.' Someone told him once that the kindling wood that started the fires was stupid, and he wouldn't even stop his bragging then. 'Oh, yes,' he said, 'but I'm a great deal stupider than the kindling wood, and I'll prove it.' So he sat down and wrote those verses and called 'em all sandwiches, and everybody agreed that he was the stupidest person going." "You only told me 2 of 'em," said Tom. "No, the whole 8 were there. To make it more stupid, the Poker said that the first one was number 5, and the second the other 7. Tom smiled broadly at this, and made up his mind to cultivate the acquaintance of the Poker. He was boy enough to like stupidity of that sort, because it made him laugh. "I'd like to meet the Poker," he said. "He must be lots of fun." "He is," said the left Andiron. 10-acre lots of fun. You'll meet him soon enough, because we shall join him shortly. We never go off on any of our trips without him. He is a great help sometimes when we get into trouble, just because he has so many sides. If we fall into a pit through some misstep, the Poker comes along and pries us out of it. If we fall into the hands of some horrible creature that wants to hurt us, the Poker talks to that creature as stupid as he knows how, which makes the other so drowsy that he can't possibly keep awake, and then of course we escape." "There he is now," cried the right Andiron, putting his right forepaw up to his ear and listening attentively. "I can hear him singing, can't you?" The left andiron stopped short, and Tom strained his ears to hear the poker's song. For a moment he could hear nothing, but then a slight buzzing sound like the hum of a bee came to his ears, and in another minute he could distinguish the words of the song. It was a song showing that the singer was one of those favored beings who are satisfied with what the world has given them, as you will see for yourself when you hear it. These are the words as they came to Tom's ears, sung to a soft little air, which the poker made up as he went along, thereby showing that he was a musician as well as a poker. "Oh, I'm a poker bold and free, and I poke the livelong day. I love the land and I hate the sea, but the sky and the clouds are there for me. I dote on the Milky Way. The clouds are as soft as a fleecy rug, and as cool can be. The skies fit into my figure snug, and they make me feel so blithe and smug, that I'm glad fate made me. Oh me, ah me, 'tis a lovely fate, and a mission great, to be like me, and to love the skies and the clouds to prize, and to hate the turbulent sea. He. So I lift my voice, and I loud rejoice that the fates have made me. "Hullo!" cried the right andiron. "Hulloa!" called the left andiron. "That's not my name," came the voice of the poker from behind a cloud just above Tom's head, "but I know who you mean, so I answer hulloa yourself." "Where are you?" cried Lefty. "Here," called the poker. "No, you're not," called Righty. "You're there. We are here." "Well, that's neither here nor there," retorted the poker, poking his head out through the cloud. "Hullo! Who have you got there? That isn't Tom, is it?" "No, it's Sleepyhead D. Dormouse," laughed Lefty. "Good," said the poker, advancing and shaking Tom by the hand. "I was afraid it was Tom. Not that I dislike Tom, for I don't. I think he is one of the nicest boys I know, but he weighs a good 57 pounds, and so far we haven't been able to get a cloud strong enough to support more than 56. If Tom were to come up here and sit on a cloud, he'd fall through, and if he fell through, you know what would happen." "No, I don't," said Tom, to whom the poker's remarks were addressed. "What would happen?" "Well, in the first place, it would spoil the cloud. And in the second place, if he tumbled into the sea, he'd have to swim ashore," said the poker sagely. "That's why I'm glad you're young, Mr. Dormouse, and not Tom. Dormice can sit on the flimsiest clouds we have and not break through." "What is a dormouse, anyhow?" asked Tom, to whom it now occurred for the first time that he had never seen a dormouse. "Oh!" jeered Righty, as Tom asked the question. "The idea of not knowing what a dormouse is!" "He's a mouse with the door to him, of course," said Lefty. "Which he keeps closed," said the poker, "so that he will not be disturbed while he is asleep." Tom tried to imagine what a creature of that sort looked like, but he found it difficult. Not liking to appear stupid, he accepted the explanation. "Oh," he said, "it must be a very pretty animal." "Oh, yes," said the poker, "but he isn't as pretty as I can be when I try. My, how pretty I can be! But say, Andes, where are we bound this trip?" "We've left that to Sleepyhead to decide," said Lefty. "In the usual way, of course?" queried the poker. "Oh, yes. He can't decide except as we want him to, and have it go as a real decision. We've given him his choice of watching the world go round, going to Saturn, or taking the long jump." "And which will it be, Dormy?" asked the poker. "I sort of think I'd like to sit up here and watch the world go round," said Tom. "Nope," said Righty. "Then let's go to Saturn," suggested Tom. "Oh, no," said Righty, "not that." "Then there's only one thing left," said Tom with a sigh, "and that's the long jump, whatever that is." Tom's three companions roared with laughter. "Absurd!" cried Righty. "The idea! The long jump the only thing left! Ha, ha, ha!" "Perfect nonsense!" laughed Lefty. "I never thought Dozy Pate could be so dull." "Well, he isn't anything like as dull as I can be when I try," said the poker. "He's pretty dull, though." "I don't see where the joke comes in," snapped Tom, who did not at all like the way the Andirons and the poker were behaving. "If there are only 3 things we can do, and you won't do 2 of them, there's only 1 left." "Ha ha ha!" roared Lefty. "Poor dull dormouse," said Righty, with a smile that was half of mirth and half sympathy. "You are evidently a dormouse with very little education, Dormy," said the poker. "If there are 3 apples on a plate, 1 red, 1 green, and 1 white, and you are told to take your pick of the lot, there are 4 things you can do, not 3. "What are they?" asked Tom meekly. "You can take a red one, a white one, a green one, or all 3. See?" "Oh, yes," said Tom, beginning to smile again. "I see. You don't want me to choose watching the earth go round, or going to Saturn, or taking the long jump, but you do want me to choose all 3. "Now you are talking sense," said Righty, "and sense is what we are after." "That's it," said the poker. "Now what do you choose, Dormy?" "All 3!" roared Tom. "The dormouse is getting his eyes open," said Lefty. "Which is very proper," put in Righty, "for there is a great deal for him to see." "Not so much as there is for me to see," said the poker. "My, what a lot there is for me to see!" "The first thing for us to do," said Lefty, paying no attention to the poker's words, "is to get a good place for us to sit, so that Sleepyhead can see the world." "There's no better place than this cloud," said the poker. "I've sat here many a time and studied China by the hour." "It's a little too far away for Sleepyhead," said Lefty. "Dormy mustn't be allowed to strain his eyes." "Never thought of that," said the poker. "Of course I can see a great deal farther than he can. My, how far I can see! What's the matter with our pushing the cloud in a little nearer?" "Nothing, if we can do it," said Righty. "But can we?" "We can wink our eye and try, as the poet says," returned the poker. "Ever heard that poem, Dormy?" "No," returned Tom. "That is, not that I know of. I've heard lots of poetry in my life, but it goes in one ear and out the other." "You must have a queer head," said the poker, peering into Tom's ear. "How a poem poured into one ear can go out of the other, I can't understand. There doesn't seem to be any opening there." "His head isn't solid like ours," said Lefty. "It's too bad to be afflicted the way he is. He ought to do the way a boy I knew once did. He suffered just as Dormy does. You'd tell him a thing in his left ear, and the first thing you'd know, pop, it would all come out of the other ear and be lost. The poor fellow was growing up to be an ignoramus. Couldn't keep a thing in his head, until one night I overheard his father and mother talking about it in the library. The boy's father wanted to punish him for not remembering what he learned at school, when his mother said just what Dormy here said, that everything went in one ear and out of the other. Then they both looked sad, and the mother rubbed her eyes until the tears came. I couldn't stand that. If there's one thing in the world I can't stand, it's other people's sorrows. Mine don't amount to much, but other people's do sometimes. I felt so bad for the poor parents that I racked and racked my brains trying to think of some way to cure the boy. It took me a week, but I got it at last, and the next time the boy's parents talked about it, I took the matter in hand. I simply walked out to the fireplace where I was and said, 'I hope you will excuse the interference of an andiron, ma'am, but I think your boy can be cured of his ear trouble.' 'Noble fellow,' said the father, after he got over his surprise at my unusual behavior. 'What do you suggest?' 'Put a cork in his other ear,' said I. And they did, and from that time on the boy never lost a bit of information anyone gave him. He grew up to be a dreadfully wise man, and when he finally died he was known as the human encyclopedia." "That was a noble act of yours," said the poker. "Did you have the idea patented?" "No," said the Andiron. "I wanted to, but the patent rules require that a working model should be sent with a request for a patent for the patent office to keep, which of course I couldn't do." "Why not?" asked Tom. "I couldn't get a boy who would consent to spend his life in the showcase. I could get all the corks I wanted, but no boy. And so I had to give it up," replied Lefty with a sigh. "I'd have been a rich andiron today if I could have had that idea patented. I shouldn't be surprised if I'd had enough to have Righty and the poker and myself gold-plated." "Oh, well, I wouldn't feel bad about that," said the poker. "What's the use? You're bright as any gold that ever shined, and you are quite as useful. Gold may be worth more than you are, but what of it? The people who bought you are willing to change their gold for you, so that really puts you ahead. As for myself, I wouldn't be gold if I could. Gold pokers aren't worth anything as pokers. And what's more, if I were gold, Tom's father would lock me up in the safe every night, and then I couldn't travel about the way I do." "Never thought of it in that light," said Lefty. "I'm glad I'm brass after all." "But you were going to tell us a poem, weren't you?" asked Tom. "Yes," said the poker. "It's a simple little verse, but there is a good deal of fine advice in it. All it says is, if you're in doubt if you can do a thing someone has asked you to, don't sit down and moan and cry, because you can't, but wink your eye and try." "There's good advice enough for a lifetime in that, Dormy," said the right hand iron. "And now let's see if we can move the cloud." The four little creatures set out at once to push the cloud nearer to the earth so that Tom could see the latter going around more clearly. But their efforts were in vain. The cloud wouldn't budge an inch. "No use," said the poker, panting with his exertion. "There is only one thing to do now, and that is to send for the bellows. If he'll come and blow in his usual style, we'll have that cloud where we want it in less than no time. I'd blow it there myself, for I am a far better blower than the bellows is. My, how I can blow! But I'm out of breath trying to push the cloud." "I'll run back and get the bellows," said Lefty. "And I'll go with you," said Righty. "He may not come for one, but I'm sure he will for two." "All right," said the poker. "Dormy and I will wait here for you, and I'll tell him a story while you're gone. How will that suit you, Dormy?" "First rate," said Tom. "I like stories." "We'll be back soon," said the right hand iron, as he and the others started back after the bellows. "So make your story short." "Very good," returned the poker amiably. "I'll make it so short that Dormy will hardly know that it was ever begun." And so Tom was left sitting on a big cloud way up in the sky with the poker, which was indeed a very novel position for a small boy like him to be in. End of chapter 3.